Welcome to another edition of Your Money, Your Life. I'm your host, Alfred Edmund Jr., Senior Vice President and Executive Editor-at-Large at Black Enterprise, and this episode of Your Money, Your Life is hosted by Prudential. Listen, we all know how critical it is to save for retirement, but we often tell ourselves that we can't do it, especially if we're younger. Today's guest is a perfect expert to help us address this issue because she's going to talk to us about adjusting your spending to finance your retirement savings. Please welcome to the show, Patrina Dixon, author of It's My Money. She's a money coach and host of the Money Exchange podcast. Patrina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Edmund. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And I'm excited to get started and share some tips here today.
Well, let's talk. I want our audience to learn more about you. One of the best things I love about Your Money, Your Life is that we have so many great people out there who can help people achieve their goals. And you are certainly one of them. Talk about how you got on the path to do what you do, to write your book, to do your podcast. What set you on the path of financial education and money coaching?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So I was one of the ones who had my money all jacked up. I made a lot of money, but I also spent a lot of money and sometimes spent more than I had or before I even got the money directly deposited from my employer into my account. So I knew what I was doing was not what I should be doing, but I didn't know how to do it differently. So I became a student of finance. So I started learning from others that was in the space. And by golly, when I got that thing right, when I learned to spend differently, to budget, to have delayed gratification and really appreciate that, I wanted to teach everybody how to do it. So I got started with having clients one by one and showing them that they can do it too. And then I thought to myself, because I made this observation and I made it my obligation to teach our young people, because I said to myself, if I had the knowledge that I have now when I was much younger, oh my goodness. So that was the quest. And that's how I got started now over 6 years ago.
Katrina, you hit just every bell I hit every time on the show. I mean, I'm certainly senior to you. And I tell young people all the time, I'm big on mentoring. If I just had, like one drink out of the drink money, like not all the drink money, just one drink out of the drink money, if I had put that toward retirement savings, I would just so much further ahead. And I know we think when we're younger, we think we have time, that's something for down the road. And often we may be at the early part of our earning years, so we think we should wait until we're making more money. But it's really, really important. I try to drive home this point to start early because you have, the value of compound interest over time. And talk to me about, you hit it. If the goal is to get people started younger, putting some money away toward retirement, even if it's only $5, $10, $25, because over time, that can really be a huge payoff versus waiting till later to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the message right there. Start early. Put away what your budget can allow for, because that's the term that I have to drop in here, because oftentimes people think of budgeting as, I don't like to do it. I don't make enough to do that. So I often tell them, drop the word if you don't like it. Call it your money meeting, call it your spending plan, call it whatever you want, but ensure that you're doing it. And then find those the extra money to put aside. So it's really important. Personal finance is just that, it's personal. So what I save may be different from what you're saved, even if we were both much younger. The idea is save as much as you're able to save. And then as you continue to reduce your spending, increase that savings. So that's exactly the message right there. Start early, be consistent, automate it if you can, and grow that amount that you're saving as you go along.
And I tell people anything is better than zero.
Yes.
Like anything you can put away.
Yes.
People say, oh, I only got $5 here, $5 there. I'm like, anything is better than zero because it builds up over time. And if your company has a 401k, then you just absolutely need to max out, especially if the company maxes. But even if the company, you don't work for a company or an employer that offers that kind of thing, opening up some kind of account, an IRA, something that says this money is for when either I don't want to work anymore or I can't work anymore. It's just so important, especially when you talk about multi-generational wealth building in the Black community.
That's right. When I start with clients, I tell them don't start when you first start working with me. If you haven't been saving before, don't start with I'm going to save 200 per paycheck because what'll happen is you'll put that 200 in because you've never done it before, and then you haven't paid a bill or paid enough on that. Then you're taking 50 out, and you're taking 50 more out of that savings account. I prefer you start small, $5, $10, whatever that is, and then increase that as continue to find the areas of opportunity for increased growth. So that's the better way to do it so that you're consistent and it's sustainable.
When you're coaching people, what is kind of the biggest mindset challenge you have to deal with when trying to get them to think about that, to get past, I don't have it, I don't know where I'm going to get the money from, oh, that's something I can wait to deal with down the road. What are the challenges? I mean, one of the things I love about money coaches is they really do understand that it starts with how you think about money, how you feel about money, and that feeds directly into the choices that you make, regardless of the level of financial education that you have.
So it's more of the I don't have enough to do it. Like I'm living paycheck to paycheck. So I really don't know how to do it. And people have what I call the aha moment when I encourage them to sit down with their money. So literally how much you made, not the estimation of how much that came in, and then what you're actually paying out. And they find themselves when they write it on the page, they really have more than they think they have. Because what happens is, especially pre-COVID, when people are going into offices more and they come home and then start to think about what they're going to pay. You went down, you got breakfast on the way to work because you got paid that day. You went down for lunch. You may have stopped and gotten food on the way home, like eating out. So now you've reduced your income by 3 different transactions before you even thought about what you have going on. So it's when they spend that time with their money and become intimate with their money, that notion starts to go away. So it's I don't have enough. That's for people that have a lot of money. So when they get over that and are empowered to actually do it themselves and see it happen, then it's a game changer. It's a life changer, actually.
Yeah, Patrina, I mean, you talk about something, again, all great money coaches do, and I know you do too, is getting people from going from unconscious spending, which most of us just spend unconsciously. We don't even remember what we spent it on. We don't know what we spent it on. Half the stuff we spent it on is gone and we don't really even miss it. But
Yes.
going from unconscious spending to conscious spending, and just that shift alone, just being conscious of it, you're right. You often find out, oh, I could reallocate that to this. I can reallocate that to that. But waking people up, through your coaching and through your book and other things that you do to reach out and impact people, including on social media, it's just so critical to get people just to slow down and think about what you're doing. That's such a big important part of what you do. Listen, I'm going to take a quick break, but I definitely want to talk about some tips you have for people to adjust their spending to focus on financing their retirement savings. This episode of Your Money, Your Life is being brought to you by Prudential. And Prudential knows the importance of having a rock in your life. Everyone needs a rock. A rock can help turn the far-fetched into the within reach. When you have one, you can reach your potential, your dreams, and your goals. And when it comes to your financial goals, Prudential is the rock you can rely on. With their knowledgeable financial professionals, Prudential can help you get to new heights, plan, invest, insure, and retire. Visit Prudential.com. Who's your rock? Patrina, I know you got some great gems to drop. You've already dropped a bunch of them already. So what are some specific things our audience could be doing to find the money to retire? And I always tell people, the money that you need, you probably have. You just don't know that you have it. Talk to me.
Sure, exactly right. So the first tip that I'll name is know how much you have coming in and how much you have going out. Yes, that is called a budgeting exercise, but it will truly transform your financial future if you do this on a regular basis. Do not do it once a month. Do it as often as you get income. So if you work for an employer, work for yourself, whatever it is, whenever you get money in, you need to touch that budget or spending plan, have that money meeting as often as that happens. Secondly is forget what you didn't do yesterday. It's okay. It's okay. Forget that. There's no shaming. Let's just get started. You're watching this today. You can start today of having control over your financial future going forward.
Katrina, I want to stick a point in that because the theme of Your Money, Your Life is about financial wellness. Because I've found over the years, both in my own personal life and as a financial journalist, that a lot of this is about how we feel and think about money And if we're operating out of guilt and shame and about what I didn't know and what I didn't do and what people think I have versus what I really have, that often causes us to avoid the topic altogether, other than I got to pay these bills and I got to make this money. So I really, that point that you just made about let go of guilt and shame about what you didn't do or what circumstances you may have been born into, what your mama and daddy didn't teach you or whatever, and say, we're going to start from today and do better. I just think that's so important.
So true, and that I'll couple that with not making sure you save yourself before trying to help others. A lot of clients I have, and I did a lot of one-on-ones were, well, I have to take care of my adult child, not take care of them, meaning that they are disabled, meaning that they live at home, they're paying for the food for them, they're not charging them rent and that sort of stuff. I'm helping my mom take care of their bills. So I'm not saying not to do it, but make sure that that fits in your budget. And what I mean by that is don't help somebody else when you are struggling with your own bills, or you are going to be late on your bills. So make sure your help is a line item within your budget. And when you are unable to, be very transparent about that. Like, don't pretend like you have more than what you have to save somebody else when you're drowning.
It's that old analogy, common analogy about put your own oxygen mask on first before you try to put it on someone else. Because if you go under, you can't help them.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And then the next tip is reduce your spending. So when you're looking for money to add towards an intentional goal like retirement, you have to look at what am I spending money on today? There's so many ways to reduce spending. And I'll give you a quick example. Even if this happened to me just yesterday, where there's gas prices right now is insane. I drive an SUV. It's just really expensive today. So this holds true today, but also can hold true even when gas prices start to level out. Plan your errand running, right? I live on one side of town and I had to go about 25 minutes away from where I live. There's two different things that I needed to do over there. In my mind, for part of my day, I planned to do one on one day and one on another. And then I thought to myself, if I'm going on that side of town, let me just take care of both of those things. My calendar from a time perspective didn't allot for that. So, but I wasn't thinking about it from a financial perspective on the amount of gas it'll take for me to go over there twice in 1 week. So then I readjusted my calendar so that I can take care of both things on that side of town while I was there. So that's an example of how you can reduce money, plan out even what you're doing from an errand running so that you're being more efficient with the use of your gas, which ties into your finances.
That circles back to your whole thing about just being conscious. I have this thing that I call found money when I really started finally getting really conscious about my spending. And it wasn't until after I came to Black Enterprise and started doing journalism. But we always think about the unexpected expense, but we don't think about the unexpected income, money that just comes in you weren't expecting, a gift from someone, somebody paid you back. You never thought you were going to see that money.
That happens.
I have a plan for what I call found money that I didn't expect. And in the beginning, when I first started doing this, it was 50% toward debt reduction, 25% for retirement savings, 10% toward emergency fund, and the rest I could spend. Mm-hmm. I can reward myself, just have blow it on something. But by having a plan for the found money, some of that found money went to places to help improve my financial position. So again, it goes back to your great work with helping people be conscious about what they're spending and how they're spending it.
Absolutely. And another way to reduce the spending, staying on that particular tip is, I know for me, I was all about the brand names for groceries. Right now, I'm not that way. Like, I had to have certain types of coffee. Now, I even with the coffee that I now drink in Keurig at the grocery store, it's one price, which is less expensive than the other brand I used to have. But it's even less expensive getting it from Amazon and shipped directly to my door. So you just have to look at various different ways. So it's not about not having things that you like. It's about how much you spend on those things. But the important part is when you find that money, you're intentional about putting it towards the goal. So don't reduce the spending and spending in one category and spend it on another category. You have to make sure that if this is the exercise you're going through for your intended goal, which is your retirement savings, then you have to put that money towards that once you find that money.
You're talking about that important topic of redirection, because a lot of people really are good at saving. They go and they catch the sale, but they don't capture the savings. Because if
Yes.
if you don't capture the savings to redirect it toward a particular goal, in this case, we're talking about retirement, then even though you saved, you didn't save. Like you say, you end up spending it on something else because
Right.
you didn't really focus on capturing the savings and redirecting it. There's something else that you touched on, this idea, you said it earlier, the importance of automation, because
Oh,
if you have it automated and you are regularly looking at your budget to think about where you can make adjustments, then that goes to the recapturing the savings. Because then you say, listen, now that I'm doing this new habit, I'm saving an extra $10 a month or $30 a month. I can go in and adjust the automation by another $30 a month toward my retirement savings. And
exactly right. Exactly. Let me just tie on the automation. So if you work for an employer and you have your I'll call it your entire paycheck directly deposited into your checking account, which for me checking account is your operational account, not money that stays in there for a long period of time. You can tell your employer by way of the online portal that they may have, or however that you have the direct deposited funds going, you can do that for directly depositing into a savings account. I encourage an online only high yield savings account. But you can do it by dollar amount, you can do it by percentage, and you can do it in more than one additional account. So that's the way that you can do it. I call it save it and automate it and forget about it. Automate it and forget about it, just like it would be for taxes. When taxes structure change, you have no control over that. So the reason why this is really important, because if you do it this way, it goes into that account that it goes into that account first, the rest goes into the operating funds, and the operating funds is really what you use and budget from, right? So when you have everything go into your operating account or your checking account, then it's an exercise or a task that you need to do to move it to the next account. So if you have it automated and forget about it, before you know it, you'll have more in that account, even at the $10 or $20 denomination, before you realize it. So automate it and forget about it. And that's also called pay yourself first.
Here's what I love about that, at least for me. I did just set it and I forget it. And like you said, I had my automated retirement savings. Our company has a 401k, so we were able to, I got to slip right into that. And then I have my emergency fund, which, as you said, is an offline online account. I don't have an ATM card attached to it. I can't just run and dip into it when I want to without some difficulty. But the automation of it had two benefits for me. One, it was automatic. I didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. The second is that when I did think about it, and then I looked to see how much I accumulated, it gave me a tremendous boost of motivation to keep going. It's like, oh, I can do this. I can afford to save. I can afford to prepare. I can afford to save for retirement.
That's exactly right. That's it. I love how you describe that, because it's that two-found, and you have to celebrate the wins and the accomplishments, no matter the size of them. Make sure that you do that, and that will encourage you to do the next. And which brings me to my next tip: diversity. Make sure that you have your money working for you in many different ways. So you've mentioned a few times 401k. 401k, especially when when a company matches you, that is free money. Free money is what I call that. Get that free money all day. So, some people go all the way up to the contribution levels that you can within your employer, even though most companies don't match all, the entire amount. But do it to wherever you're comfortable. At a bare minimum, do the match, whatever they match, 1%, 3%, 6%, whatever that is. Make sure at a minimum you are doing that. Secondarily, as you begin to find additional money by way of reducing spending and reallocating, diversifying other things. So it could be a Roth IRA, it could be another traditional IRA, it could be investing, whatever it is, but ensure that whatever you intend to do, that it falls within your budget. I am not encouraging you to not pay off debt, to be late on bills, to be able to do these things, but you will find, once you start to become intimate with your money by way of looking at it through the money meeting, spending plan, budgeting, whatever it is that you want to call it, you'll begin to be encouraged by the various different things that you can do to diversify how your money grows for you.
Patrina, I mean, I knew it was going to be a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of wisdom, but I also like the energy and enthusiasm, which is all, again, is important, because I'm sure a lot of the people that you help are initially discouraged, not necessarily hopeful. Maybe they think they've already struggled and tried already and it's not working. So I really like your energy, because a lot of it is about the heart and the mind as much as it is about the balance, the checkbook and the balance book,
That's exactly right. Exactly right. I have one more tip. May I share one more?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. and find ways to monetize your skill set or your passions. So what that defines is earn additional money by way of side hustles. It doesn't mean you need to stop your day job. It means that what things that you enjoy doing, things you are skilled in doing, having a passion for, find a way to monetize that. For me, it was personal finance. I love talking about personal finance. And when I started going around talking about it, writing books about it, people asked me to come on shows to talk about it, asked me to be in rooms, asked me to be on Zooms. And I love what I do. And when you love what you do, even if you're doing it as a side hustle, you want to do it all the time. So therefore you'll get paid to do it. You'll get paid more and more because you'll do it more and more, and you'll feel encouraged by the fact that what I love doing is helping me to reach my end goal, and that is for retirement or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So side hustling, the list is endless, endless. So do not think it has to be the 4 or 5 that you see across social media all the time. It is truly something you're skilled at that can solve a problem for somebody else, could be how you earn money to put towards your financial planning.
That I put also in my category of found money, because most of us budget based on our, especially if you're a working professional, on our salary from our main job. We don't really think about the extra money. We budget based on, oh, this is the money I know I'm getting. So again, if you got a side hustle, if you got a skill set, whether that's teaching a class, taking care of somebody's kids, cooking, whatever it is, that money again is found money that you can earmark toward retirement and other financial goals. Let me tell you, Patrina, I've shared on this show, the biggest piece of advice I ever got that I didn't take, but that I tell people all the time. I was told once, bank your raises. And what that meant was, if you were making $50,000 a year, and then at the end of the year, you got a raise to 55, act like you still only got the 50 and bank that extra income for a year. Just do it for a year. That's a great tip. Because you already know you can live on 50 because you were living on 50.
Yes.
Bank it for a year and then spend it 55, because usually our lifestyles grow faster than our incomes because we tend to start spending the money as soon as we get it.
That's exactly right.
I love
that one. I'm writing that one down. I love that.
Spread the word, sis. I'm not keeping it to myself. I tell people all the time, just bank your rate. Even if you just do it for 6 months, just let that money go into retirement, emergency savings, whatever, but just don't spend it right away. And again, as we progress toward our careers, especially if you start when you're supposed to start, when you're young, 18, 19, 20, as soon as you start getting income. So bank your raises. You heard it from me again, because I share every chance I get. But,
I love that. And because that's the thing. People think that I have to reduce something in order to save. That is something you need to do, but you also may need to find how to bring more in to help you along that goal as well. So it's a combination of the both. And when you get that raise, if you have like substantial, as you mentioned, I completely agree. I'm gonna put that quote out, tweet that quote when we're done here. I love that.
Because I tell people wealth creation in all its forms is usually about delayed gratification.
Yes.
It's just delayed gratification. If you could just wait, for the right time, you can get more out of your money and still have time to save.
That's right.
Patrina, we're running out of time. I want to make sure, obviously, in a half hour, we're not going to get everything you got in half an hour. But I want our audience to be able to find you. What's the best way for them to keep in touch with you, follow you, check out your podcast? Let's make sure all the Your Money, Your Life audience can stay in touch with Patrina Dixon.
Sure, absolutely. May I say one quote before I go into that?
Oh, go ahead with it.
Sure. So the one thing I want to leave you with is the only situation that can place a limitation on your destination to your elevation is procrastination. So forget what you didn't do before. Now that you've heard us here today, you can now move forward with everything that has been shared. So thank you so much for having me. My name is Patrina Dixon. Across social media, I'm at It's My Money _. That's It's My Money _. My website is itsmymoneyjournal.info. Again, that's itsmymoneyjournal.info.
This is Patrina. I'm so glad you took the time to be on the show today. Welcome, and I'm going to try to have you back on to Your Money, Your Life.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
And this has been another edition of Your Money, Your Life. This episode has been sponsored by Prudential. I'm your host, Alfred Edmond Jr., Senior VP, Executive Editor at Large at Black Enterprise. See you next time.